Hi, it's Lauren. I'm here with Ava. A few months ago, my mom and I recorded a segment that was originally meant to be short so that her and Michelle could discuss it later. But we got a little out of hand and just kept talking. So enjoy this special release episode where my mom and I discuss stay at home moms.
Welcome to All Apple
Apple
Pie and
pie and
Stuff.
stuff.
I'm Jennifer.
I'm Lauren.
I'm Aaliyah.
Okay, today we're talking about, I don't know, Lauren's got some bones to pick.
Yes.
What are the bones?
So this was something that was mentioned asked of me recently, and no shade to the person who asked it. Kevin, if you ever see this, I love you. Um, but
But you're a weenie.
yeah, it was kind of a weenie comment. But since I've been out of work, I got laid off when my son was 4 months old. I got asked, well, what do you do all day as a stay-at-home mom? Yeah.
What do you do all day?
And I think that's something that a lot of stay-at-home moms hear. And I'm not throwing shade at the working moms. Like, you guys are awesome. And I don't miss being a working mom because it's so much extra, especially when you're the primary caretaker for your child. So, like, especially the single working moms, like, you're awesome. I actually just found out that we're recording this on Working Moms Day, so woohoo! Um, but I think being a stay-at-home mom gets pooped on a lot.
There's a lot of pooping. There's a lot of pooping. People poop on any kind of mom you are. So I think everybody poops on whatever kind of mom you are. And I'm getting tired of the mom pooping because I've been a single mom. I've been a working mom. I've been a semi working mom. And I never really got to be a stay at home mom, but it would have been preferable because, like Lauren said, so when you're a working mom, you still have to do all that stuff plus go to work.
Yeah, and I think, there's two income households where people split it up really nicely, and, the workload is divided. Now, in my household currently, being a stay-at-home mom, the workload is much less divided because my husband's working. He works a ton and overtime, like I'm not even going to see him for the next 2 weeks at this point. Um, so I do take on pretty much all of the at-home stuff, the cooking, the cleaning, the child rearing for the most part. Um, but I think
Don't
a
forget
lot
the
of
errands.
the errands.
There's always an errand.
So it was something I was kind of mulling over, and I was doing the math in my head, and everyone's situation is different, obviously, but between taking care of the animals, running the errands, cleaning the house, taking care of the baby, making 3 meals a day, I came up with typically an 8 to 10 hour day every single day of the week, with maybe one day as an exception where I'm not doing that 8 to 10 hours, but still quite a few hours of work.
Plus, she has cats, chickens that lay eggs. Now
Please.
she's got chicks, and she's raising them, so she has more egg layers, and a donkey. But
Yeah.
she doesn't do anything all day. She's just sitting around eating bonbons, apparently.
Yeah, because I see a lot of like those day in the life, realistic day in the life of whatever type of person. And I was kind of thinking about it like, what's a day in my life look like? So I'm getting up at 6 a.m. I'm taking care of a whole boatload of animals. I think right now we're up to 42 animals between chickens, cats, donkey, and baby chickens.
That we thought we killed, but we didn't.
Yeah, that's another story.
In transport, they're fine. The chicks are fine.
Yeah, they're fine. They were real quiet on the car ride. It was suspicious, but
They were fine. Scared me though.
Yeah, that was a problem.
so like that's my typical morning before the baby's even gotten up. And then of course the baby gets up, the baby needs to be changed. He's going to drink some milk, he's going to get a diaper. He's going to eat breakfast, he's going to want lunch, he's going to want snacks, he's going to want attention. And then I typically spend his entire nap time doing all the household stuff that doesn't otherwise get done. So vacuuming, cleaning the floors, loading the dishwasher. And then, you get through the day, and my husband typically comes home around like almost 5. around then we're going to eat dinner. So I get to sit down and eat my meal. But then after dinner, I'm clearing the table. My husband usually takes the baby after dinner. But I clear the table. Then I'm going out to finish up the animals for the night. So making sure everybody's locked in, safe, secure, um, making lunches for the next day, or filling bottles for the next day. So there's a lot of stuff that's being done. So no, I'm not working all day long, every second of it. But most people who work a full-time job, you're not really working that whole 40 hours, are you? Like, no, there's always downtime at work. But in the day that I have, the 24 hours I have, typically it's going to be a minimum of 8 hours of actively doing things. So it's not nothing.
So, if you are a family member or a friend or an acquaintance of somebody who's an at home mom, don't be a weenie and say, "What do you do all day?"
And even if you got to none of that stuff, even if your day was just, you fed your kids, you fed yourself, and you played with your kids, that's not useless work. Like the days where I'm just burnt out and I need to take a break from cleaning the house, it's not like I'm not doing anything. There's a huge mental load of just keeping little people alive because they do things like jump off of furniture or try to choke on the nozzle of a squirt bottle or eat conditioner.
Get his head stuck in the curtain.
or eat stuff that's not food.
Yeah, they do that.
And let's be honest, with a newborn, yes, they need you and then they sleep. And then they get a little bit older and they don't quite need you as much, but you're a mom all day long. It's mom, mom. Can I have this? Can I get this? And like my son's not talking that much yet, but
Mom,
it's
mom,
still the
can I
same thing.
have
And especially when you have more than one kid, like your kids need your attention. That is part of it. And I think in the mom sphere, regardless of your stay-at-home mom or a working mom, it's it's a 24/7 job. You never get a break from being a mom.
Yeah,
Unless
and even after you've raised your children, I promise you, you're still not. No, you're on 24 hours a day. So, and I think it's a common complaint of women, wives, especially mothers, that our day begins, it never ends. We don't get a week vacation. We don't get to come home and go, "Oh, I'm home. I'm going to chillax for a while." No, we don't ever get that. And then you have kids and they have kids and you don't ever get that. So I want you to know it is hard. It is rewarding. Like I wouldn't trade anything that I've done or anything that I do now. Like I love my kids. I love my grandkids. I love that my kids need me and utilize me. Some days I wish they wouldn't, but then I would be sad if they didn't. Yeah, it's that whole see, and that's the thing when you're a mom. It's like, I don't want this, but no, I want this. And it's like all contradictory. So then you have all that going on. So just know you're doing fine. And the weenies that want to ask you stupid questions, well, they just don't know any better. They're probably not trying to be rude. They just don't know any better. They have no idea what this life is. We don't even know what this life is. But we're here to support you and I hope you have a support system too. And when somebody asks you that, try not to like, don't second guess what you're doing. You're doing it all, and it's not fair. But then if you weren't doing it all, nobody else would be doing it right anyway. So you want to do it all. I know, right? It's like
Yeah.
just weird, right?
Yeah.
Because if say your husband tries to pick up the slack, he's not doing it right.
Right. Well, and so funny enough, right before we sat down to record this, and if you are that stay-at-home mom whose spouse is like being a weenie about it, just know that you can show them this video and I'd be happy to talk some sense into them. But just before we sat down, I was scrolling through Facebook. I saw in one of the mom groups I'm in, and I'm not going to give too many details because it's not my story to tell necessarily. Um, but this woman basically said she has 4 kids. Her husband works full time, but she's a stay at home mom. She had a tough day with the kids, and her husband got home and she said, "Hey, I need a break. I need 20 minutes where nobody bothers me." And he told her she was selfish because he worked all day and he needs to relax. And I'm not saying that a husband who goes to work and works all day and maybe does a super hard or super mentally taxing job doesn't deserve to relax. But mom needs a break too. And for a lot of moms, especially stay at home moms, the only relief you're going to get in your day a lot of days is that like couple of minutes of maybe not having a kid tugging at your pant leg while you make dinner or something in the hopes that your husband is going to actually, like, I don't know, play with the children he helped create. So.
We're not trying to poop on dads either.
No! But I mean, let's be honest. Like, so I was telling my husband about this that I've kind of been thinking on since I got asked, well, what do you do all day? And he's like, you don't need to prove to me what you do all day. I know you're busy. I'm like, you say that, but you still don't seem to get it. Like, and I don't think they can. Like, I don't think men are physically capable of fully understanding just the mental load of being a mom.
Like, love them long time, but no, they're not going to get it. But then again, maybe we don't understand what their mental crap is. And I hate to be like kind of selfish, but I kind of am at this juncture in my life because I'm getting older. I've been doing this for a very long time. Like I said, I went through a serious health thing. So for 10 years, I lived in extreme pain and pushed through my day anyway because I still had to get all those things done. And I don't know if I had to. I probably could have let somebody pick up the slack, but they wouldn't do it right. So there's that. And that's on me. And so we're made up differently, but I don't want to even understand their crap because I have enough on my own plate. So I know that's mean or it sounds mean, but it's really not mean. So like I appreciate my husband and I love my husband. He's fabulous. But he's not gonna understand what's going on with me internally and how I'm feeling about everything as I won't understand him. And that's okay. But that's why it's important to have other moms that you can talk to. Because then we can poop on those men that make us angry. But they're probably not that bad either. You know what I mean? Like they don't know and they can't know just like we can't understand when they're coming at us like, hey, like I need this whatever time and we're like, well, screw you. I don't have any time. So that's what this whole show is about, like women helping women. And so we can get out our poopy feelings with each other so that we can go home and have happy lives. Because in the end, we created these children together and we want to have good lives.
Well, and I think even the most supportive husband is going to irritate you sometimes.
And we irritate them.
And like I said, my husband's great. He's super supportive. I know he hasn't been sleeping very well. I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for that. I just don't. I can't bring myself to have sympathy for that, especially not after 7 months of exclusively pumping for my baby and having to get up in the middle of the night and listen to wah, 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 for 45 minutes as I pumped, feeling like a dairy cow. So I have a really hard time feeling sympathy for him when he says he's tired, but I get it. Um, and I mean, I got mad at him last night because he fell asleep on the couch. And like, little bit of an irrational thing to be mad about at that point, but it is what it is.
But
And
it's normal. It's really normal. Like, I mean, our kids are grown up. I still get mad at dad for falling asleep, and he doesn't even really have anything that he needs to do. I'm just like, really? Like the other day, he was sleeping, and then he woke up, and he's like, "What's up?" I'm like, "Well, not you, because God forbid you had a moment of sleeping." I don't know. Uh, yeah, sometimes we're not rational. It's okay, but
but
it's really important to take care of yourself, though. Too. I mean, it's cool to take care of the family, and all of that, but you do have to take care of yourself. And it is okay to say to your husband, like, I need you to watch these kids for a while and be really specific because they don't understand. I think they do. Like, dad kind of gets it now.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because he is doing, because like in a role reversal, I'm actually the breadwinner now. And I work a little bit more than my husband now, which I want because my husband worked a lot of hours so that I could be home with the kids as much as possible. And I appreciated that as I resented him for not taking more care of the kids. You know what I mean? So a lot of it isn't rational, but it's normal to feel that way. And he kind of gets it now because he does a lot more with like because we have the grandkids a lot, and he's been doing a lot of that. And while he loves it, he understands how tiring it is and how much of yourself you're giving up and stuff. But it, so get that out, take care of yourself, and be really specific with them. Like, honey, I need you to do this. And he might not get it and he might not understand, but just as long as he does it so you can, and then don't feel guilty about those moments you take for yourself because you need them to be sane. And if he gets upset about it, well, like whatever. It's probably just because he's tired too. And we're all just trying to get through this thing. But like, don't ruin your marriages over it and stuff. Like, phone a friend and know you're not the only person to feel that way. It's totally normal, and it's been since the beginning of time. It's going to be till the end of time. We're all going to feel this way at times. It's okay.
Well, and I mean, for any of the parents out there who watch Bluey, I think we all really resonated with the episode where Chili went in her room and said, I just need 20 minutes where nobody bothers me.
You want my sweater?
And I think you need to know when you've hit your limit and when to take those 20 minutes. Because, I mean, I did yesterday. I was irritated. Like I said, I was irritated because he fell asleep. It's such a great sin. He fell asleep. So I finished what I was doing. I made sure the baby was all set. I went outside. Spent 5 minutes in total silence where nobody bugged me. I went outside. And it's okay to take those moments if you have to.
But if you are a man and you're listening to this, please don't say, "What did you do all day?" You do not want to know what happens when she stops doing it all day.
Yeah, because this place. I made the joke not too long ago that, like, I keep my house clean, but I can only do so much. And let's be honest, it would be way worse if I weren't doing what I did.
So I give really great advice on like relationships and marriages and stuff to my friends. I don't give advice to men because I'm not a man. But I do know this. Men want three things in a relationship. They want to know they're appreciated. They want some food. You know what the third one is? I don't need to go on to that.
What is
Women,
Don't worry about it.
if you're a man and you're listening, we need the same thing. We need to know we're appreciated. It's not all the same, but we need to know that you understand that we are doing our part. Like, we are helping, we are doing that. We make it possible for you to go out and be the breadwinner if you are the breadwinner. If we weren't doing what we do all day, you wouldn't have all those things. Life wouldn't be so easy for you either. Not that I'm saying it's easy for you. It's not easy for any of us, especially when you have little people. It's like a constant world of chaos. Everybody's tired. Everybody thinks their part is like, you know, really difficult. And it probably is. But don't say to your wife, "What did you do all day?" What didn't she do all day?
Well,
Just tell her you appreciate her. Listen to her when she needs to vent, and don't offer a solution. I notice this with you guys, and God love you for wanting to be problem solvers. Like, that's fabulous. I know that's how your mind works. Our mind doesn't work like that. We don't actually want you to solve our problem because you can't. Because we're still going to feel like this. We're still going to feel like we have to do everything. And if we don't do it, it's not going to be done right, which is on us. I mean, that's us. We put that pressure on ourselves. We just want you to listen. And we just want you to, like, maybe give us a hug and be like, honey, are you okay?
well, and I think a great piece of advice I saw from one man to another. So if you are a man listening to this, he said that when his wife starts to talk to him about a problem, the first thing he will ask is, are you looking for solutions or do you just need to vent? And a lot of times, we just need to vent. We just need someone to talk to. I don't need you to fix the problem. I just need you to hear my piece.
Well, and no, and like, just relay that you're understanding, or at least you're trying to understand how she feels. Because here's the thing, we don't. The problem's still going to be there. I mean, like, it's not really a problem. It's just life. But you just want somebody to hear you, especially if you're home alone with a child all day and you have to be an adult all day, you have to be a mom all day, you don't have a lot of adult interaction. You need that adult interaction when you get home, and you just want somebody to hear you. You like, we all just want our feelings validated. And I know that sounds like really mumbo jumbo-y and bleh, and I'm not really that kind of person, but we all need that. And or just come home and maybe put your arms around your wife and say, "Hey, I missed you, honey. How are you?"
Yeah. And I think this kind of lead the other thing I was kind of thinking about because I've seen it a lot. And it's kind of like a buzzword term now. They talk about weaponized incompetence, which I see in a lot of the mom groups where they talk about their husband will offer to do he's going to wash the bottles, but then he like leaves big nasty like greasy spots on them from the milk. And it's like it's such a simple task, he could do it, but he does it wrong every time. And they talked about how that was like a form of weaponized incompetence. He's purposely doing it wrong so he doesn't have to do it in the future. And if you have a partner like that, I think you need to sit down and have a serious discussion about your priorities, because I think that is pretty indicative of a person who's not respecting you at some level.
Well, let me tell you this though. If you do ask your husband to do something, and I will give you this advice, don't criticize everything he does. He's not going to do it the way that you do, and that's okay.
Yes, doing something a different way is different than doing something poorly on purpose.
Correct.
So, like,
And everything doesn't have to be perfect. And if you want your husband to do things, you can't criticize it when he tries to do it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Dad dressed you guys, and you look like little Polacks. And I never said a word about it, like, because I was just like, well, the people at school knew clearly Mommy didn't dress on a day. Well, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, he's not gonna put the outfit together like you would and make them look like perfect little Stepford kids or whatever, but he got them dressed. You know what I mean? Like he did, if he did his best, um, like, so you don't remember when I had my knee surgery, but Dad literally had to do everything because for 3 months I could put no weight on my leg, and I had to be in a machine for like 13 hours a day that moved my leg for me, which was like a torture device. It was horrible. So he had to literally do everything, and so the groceries sucked. I mean, we lived on cheese puffs and ramen noodles, but everybody grew up okay. You know what I mean? It was like 3 months, whatever. He didn't buy the most nutritious food, but he did go shopping. He cleaned the house. I promise you wasn't up to my standards, but he was doing it. You know what I mean? And on top of that, he was taking care of me when he was home. So he had to change the ice and the thing, and he was tired. And my husband worked a lot because he was the breadwinner at the time, and I wanted to be home with the kids more. So that was the trade off. So it pained me to not criticize everything he did. It really did, because like I was laying in a torture device and I was in pain and I was fat, and I just turned 30, which was rough for me. I was like, I'm fat and 30 and my leg hurts, and I got this little kid at home, and I had to take care of her during the day, but thank God she was like a self-sufficient child. So that was okay. But it pained me to not criticize what he was doing because it wasn't how I would do it, but he was doing it. You know what I mean? And he was trying his best. I mean, it wasn't like he was purposely being a butt pants. He just isn't me.
Well, and I think it's really normal too, as a mom, to feel like somebody else isn't going to do it right. So you either need to do it all yourself, or you need to give them the most ridiculously explicit instructions so that they're doing it your way. And I know this because I have to rein myself in very often. Like recently, Dad watched Henry while we went to Casper or something.
Mhm.
We were going shopping. We didn't want to bring the baby. He was watching him. And it was like taking everything in my being to not be like, okay, well, you need to do this, 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 and this in this order. I had to rein it in. And basically, all I said was, around 12, put him down for a nap. But I even find myself doing that with my own dad who raised me. So, like, I know he's capable of taking care of a kid.
And he's great with children. So,
And he
but
is.
it's like we have a certain way of doing things, and we think that it has to be done that way all the time. It doesn't. And I'm not talking about those jerks that aren't washing grease spots off a bottle. I mean, come on, dude, you know better. But they don't have to do it perfectly like we do. And that's okay. If you want to get your husband to stop doing anything, do that. Criticize everything he does.
Yeah. And I mean, it does. Your day is hard, and you want somebody to recognize the work that you're doing and appreciate you. But that's also kind of a give and take thing too. Like, I can be irritated all day long that my husband doesn't really clean, but I'm not the one out there doing the oil change or, putting in a new hydraulic filter in the tractor. Like, I'm
Well,
not going to do that.
That's what when we were talking. So Dad and I were talking about because we just did our taxes and everything. He's like, "Holy Moses, Jennifer!" He's like, "You made more money than I did last year." I'm like, "I'm the breadwinner." He's like, "Yeah." I mean, just by a hair at this point, but like next year it'll be more because I'm working at this job more, whatever. So I was like, "Oh, does that mean I don't have to do housework anymore?" He's like, "Yeah, you can do all the yard work and take care of the vehicles." I'm like, "Oh, okay, so I'm still doing dishes."
Right. And I
And to
mean,
be fair, he does dishes a lot more now that he doesn't work like he used to. So, and things change over time too. Because back in the day, I remember her sister saying, "Well, Dad doesn't do anything around the house." I said, "Well, Dad is at work like literally all the time, so I don't expect Dad to do that. Like the three of us are going to do that. He still took care of the cars and the lawn and all that stuff. You know what I mean? But now that he works less than he used to, I mean, he does dishes and stuff like that. Does he clean a bathroom? No, he doesn't. Although he did the shower the one day, and I was like really impressed.
well, and we had kind of talked about that when I was still working because I only worked 1 month basically. I went on maternity leave, worked for a month, and then got laid off. But in that month, I was still doing like 40 to 50-hour weeks with this company. Um, and I was talking with my husband, and he's like, well, let's make a list of everything we need to do in a week. So I made a list, and it was huge. And then I went through and I marked everything that wasn't getting done while I was working. And that was a big part of the decision for us where we decided, like, if I were to get another job, I want to get something where I'm not working as many hours, where I can disconnect from it a lot more than that job, something less demanding, because there was so many things falling through the cracks. Um, and I know, like, dual income households or working single moms, like, there's stuff you're probably not doing all that often, and I'm not saying you have to do those things by any means, but it's really hard. Like, it's very hard to manage a home well and work full time, especially if you're the only one doing it. So,
Yeah, communication. Like I said, don't ruin your marriage over these feelings. They're normal feelings, and everybody's gonna have them. Like I said, even after your kids grow up, like God forbid, my husband fell asleep the other day. I was pissed. I don't even really know why I was pissed. I wasn't even talking to him. Like
well, and there,
I was sitting on my phone playing a game, but I don't know. He looked like he was enjoying himself. I can't have that. But
and there are things that I think, in terms of managing the home, that your husband would never even think of. Like, um, I don't know, washing the curtains every so often.
oh, Dad would never wash the curtains.
My husband would never even think that washing the curtains was a thing if he hadn't seen me do it.
No.
But, like, it's one of those things. Once in a while, curtains get dusty. They get gross. If your house smells funny, wash your curtains.
Well, not only that, like so, Grandma and Grandpa and Dad, like they're home more than I am now, and they clean the kitchen every night. Like I don't come home to a messy kitchen, but they don't think to like move the stuff on the counter to wash the counter. And I did that today, and there was like a colony of spiders living behind the KitchenAid. So I'm like, oh, and there was still like flour from when Grandpa made bread. I don't even know when that was. I was like, am I going to be mad about it? Like, I was mad in the moment. Like, if anybody had been around, they would have gotten an earful. But then I'm just like, they don't think to do stuff like that, but they do stuff. It's not like they don't like. I don't come home to a messy kitchen. You know what I mean? So I'm like, well, I guess it's important to me, so I guess I'll do that.
Like, he might think to take out the trash, but he's not thinking at all about cleaning the trash can itself.
Yeah, I'm not cleaning a trash can.
And to be fair, I don't clean mine that often, like,
Mm-mm.
if they're super grimy. But,
Dad'll actually do that if it gets gross enough. So I just let it get gross enough because I'm not doing that. Like, I'm sorry, I'm a princess now.
well, and like, the kitchen table I was just telling you about was a mess because my husband's been working on projects and he's been really busy, but there was just stuff all over. And he was complaining that the table was dirty. I don't even want to set my fork down. The table's dirty. And I was like, well, if I could see the table, I'd clean it. So about an hour later, the table was cleaned. So, I mean,
Well,
suppose you got to find ways that work for you too.
Well, yeah, and you'll figure that out in your marriage and your relationships, and don't be afraid to ask for help from extended family. I mean, Lauren and Paige are really lucky that we moved here and we are here to help, and we do help, and we don't mind being pegged in. It's fine. Well, I mean, some days I mind because I was pretty salty about it the other day. I was just like, really, I raised my kids every day. I don't do this. but I'm gonna do it anyway. But I but I'm glad they do. Like, I'm glad they have that. But I just try to like understand your partner and understand like it is actually a scientific fact that men need more sleep than women. And I thought it was bull crap, but I did the research and it's actually true. So don't take it personally when they pass out on the couch. It's just what they do. Like it's just what they do, and it's not going to change. And if you try to wake them up, they're just going to be poop heads anyways. Nobody needs that, So try to understand that, like, but don't think that you're being selfish by trying to make them understand what your needs are. But communicate those. Like, don't give them tests that they cannot pass. Don't give them tests they don't even know that they're in. Okay, like you're saying in your mind, if that so and so comes home and falls asleep on that couch again and doesn't do XYZ, that's it. He's a weenie, and maybe he is a weenie, but don't do that. Like, tell him what you need. Like, honey, I need this.
Well, and tell him with a time frame. Because sometimes you can say, "Hey honey, can you take the trash out?" And in his mind, it's, "Yeah, I'll get to it after whatever." But in your mind, you're going, "Why hasn't he done it yet?" And you're getting angrier and angrier waiting for it, and then you decide to do it yourself and you throw a big hissy fit that's totally unnecessary. Say,
Yeah, because then you
"Hey,
just look crazy.
yeah." So give a timeline. Say, "Hey, I need you to take the garbage out, you know, before I finish making dinner or before whatever." Give a time frame of when you need that thing done and communicate that.
and and remember, I already told you that men want to be appreciated. They want something to eat, and you know what else?
Mhm.
Okay, they're pretty simple beings, and God love them for it. Okay, so when they do that thing, you appreciate it. Don't act like, yeah, it's about time you did that.
Yeah.
Dude's trying, probably. I would venture to say, I mean, there's some bad husbands out there. I understand that. There's some bad partners out there. But I would venture to say most husbands want to make their wives happy. And when they see that they're making their wife happy, they want to make their wife happier. Like, but they need the appreciation. They need to know that you are recognizing that they are trying to make you happy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it and it's a small thing. Like I know you're upset. I know you're like, well, he should have just done that in the first place. Maybe he should have. Maybe he shouldn't have. I don't know, but just appreciate it, and you'll see things change. You really will, because you can't change another person. You can only change yourself. So if something's not working for you, then you need to find another way to make it work for you. And if that is being specific about what you need, and then when those needs are met, letting him know, like, thank you, honey. I really do appreciate that. That like helped me out a lot. Well, in a nutshell, I support marriage. Like I think marriage is awesome.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Wow. It's almost like I raised you.
Well, what I was going to say is it's okay to be frustrated with your spouse. It's okay to be frustrated with your kids. It's okay to need a break, I think is really the bottom line. Whether you're a working mom, whether you're a stay at home mom, either way, everybody needs breaks sometimes. And I get that from your spouse's perspective, it can be hurtful to hear your wife say, "I need 20 minutes because I'm sick of you guys." Um, so maybe word it a little nicer, but also have someone you can vent to who is supportive of your marriage.
Right. Not somebody who's like, yeah, what a jerk. Like, no, you don't need that.
Right. So, like, for me, when I'm irritated, I typically talk to my mom. Um, she tends to have the most supportive view, I would think, of my marriage.
Well,
But also, just enough of that, kind of a dick move, but
well, I think when I talk to you or when I talk to Michelle, I mean, and Michelle can attest to that. Like, I'm always on the side of marriage. Um, I would never tell somebody what to do with their marriage, but I do try to give the perspective from his point of view. You know what I mean? Like, does he know that you need this from him? Did you tell him you appreciate this? Did you, because again, we can only change ourselves. We cannot change another person. However, when you change what you're doing, typically the people around you change what they're doing because we get into this mode. And this is with any relationship, like friendship, marriage, any work relationship, whatever. If if things are at loggerheads, if you change the way you approach things, the other person probably changes. Because a lot of times I think it's just misunderstanding or not knowing what the other person needs or not feeling like that person cares about your needs. Like when you feel like somebody doesn't care about your needs, do you care about theirs? Of course not. Why would you?
Well, and I think we had talked at one point about like people always talk about what the secret to marriage is. What's the secret to make a marriage last? And I believe it was you who said, what makes a marriage last is commitment.
Yeah, don't get divorced.
So if you are committed to your partner, then you and your partner need to figure out a way to make shit work.
And it's hard, and it always changes. Like you have a marriage. So first of all, you take two people who were raised in different circumstances, with different families, different sets of ideals or morals and values sometimes, and then you go into your own home, and now you got to make that work, right? So you figure out a way to do that, and that's all going swimmingly, and then you have a child, and uh, now you got to figure out how to parent together. What are how are we raising this kid? And you might have thought you talked about that before you had that baby, but I promise you the differences will come up after they're born. And then now everybody's tired, so you add sleep deprivation to that. So everybody's tired, the roles are changing, and then fast forward a few years, then your kid doesn't need you anymore, and then you go through that thing where and you're not at that part yet, but where you're just like, "Well, I dedicated like all this time and everything to my kid. And my kid doesn't even want to like see me now," which I was pretty lucky because Lauren was always kind of a mama's girl, so we always had a lot of time together. So it wasn't as bad, but there was like a year or so, like the empty nest thing, and I got that horrible dog, like to replace my children. I love the dog. Don't get me wrong, but not the best dog.
No.
No. And so you go through that, and then then your roles with your husband change then too, because they don't even know how you're feeling. They're just like, "Ah, freedom." You know what I mean? Like they're not driving kids around anymore. They're not listening to you complain about driving kids around anymore. They're like, "These are the best years of our lives." Like, why is my wife sitting around like crying?
Smack the
You know what I
microphone.
mean? And then you're just like, he just doesn't even understand. So then things change again, and then you can get to the fun stage like me and my husband are at. We moved 1,000 miles away to be around our kids again. Now we got like kids up the butt, and then we brought my parents. We're dealing with that, and that's like a whole other thing, and oh my god. So things are constantly changing, so you constantly have to try to reconnect. And in the end, your kids are going to grow up, they're gonna get their own families, and hopefully you'll be a big part of that. We are, and thank God for that. But in the end, I'm spending my life with my husband. This is the life I've created with him, and that's that that kind of has to be the most important thing. This is your partner, this is your life partner. So later on in life, when we're like super old, like we're kind of old now, but when we're super old and all of this is just a memory, who else do I have to talk about all these things with? It's my husband. Like he lived it with me, you know?
Well, and I think it's important your advice of you begin as you mean to continue. So if you're, newly married at this point and you're still kind of navigating that part of life, figuring out how do we bring, you know, some sense of order to our life that we're creating together when we were raised super differently. So like my husband and I had some things in common with how we were really raised in terms of like religion and stuff like that. But we had very different family structures, like vastly different. For one, my parents were married my whole life. They're still married. My husband's parents were never married. So that right there is a huge difference in just how we were raised. So you need to start now, like in the early stages of saying, you know, figuring out how to do things in a way that's going to work, that's not going to breed resentment. Because 10 years down the line, if you for years never said anything when your spouse did XYZ thing, and now they're still doing that thing, you're just going to get more and more pissed off about
Yeah, you have to deal with those things. And there are some stuff, and my husband and I have a pretty great marriage. would you say?
Yes.
Okay. Like, but there were some things some resentments that bubbled up later on in our marriage, like after the kids were raised and stuff like that. Um, on my end. And that's my bad for not conveying that when I should have, and to my husband's credit, like it all came out, especially. So, like I said, I was dealing with chronic pain and a lot of frustration with doctors and all of that for 10 years. And so a lot of my resentment and rage bubbled up during that time. And, to his credit, he listened to what I had to say. And, it really was just a matter of getting it off my chest and him just acknowledging, like, hey, I didn't know you felt like that and I'm sorry, can fix like years of resentment. So don't let it build up like that. It's not a good idea. And I mean, we didn't let a lot of things build up like that. There was some stuff that I guess I just really didn't put into words because, I I didn't want to deal with it. I was dealing with everything else. And so, but like I said, in the end, I think marriage is great. And I think that most people can make their marriage work if they're both committed to the marriage. You know, some people you can't make it work with. My first husband, there was no way that was going to work. It was stupid. And so sometimes that's just what it is. But if it, don't let all these like daily life things destroy a marriage that could be a beautiful thing if you just work on it. And for us as women, the work on it is letting them know what we need instead of expecting them to guess. um, don't feel selfish for asking for what you need because you need those things. So you're not being selfish. You do have to take care of yourself on top of taking care of your family, but you do have to take care of yourself. And you need to let them be a partner in that. Like, let them know they're your life partner. And probably most men would be like, oh, okay. They might not understand it, but they don't necessarily have to understand it right now. They will later.
Well, and I think too, I thought it was really stupid when somebody gave me the book. It was talking about like the five love languages. And yeah, I think it's cheesy and kind of dumb, but it is important to kind of understand like what does your partner need from you to feel like they're loved and appreciated, and then kind of understand how are they showing you their love and appreciation. So like personally, like the way I would prefer to be shown love and appreciation is more being told, "Hey, I appreciate you and what you're doing." Whereas my husband, on the other hand, is more the kind of person to be like, "Here's a gift." So, we just different ways of showing affection. So I know, like, he comes home, he has a gift for me. It's because he saw that, he thought of me, and he went, "Hey, I love and appreciate my wife, and I think she'd like this." Where, maybe it's not how I necessarily wanted to hear it, but that's him showing his appreciation. So there can be miscommunications, I think, in that get overlooked a lot too.
Right, and everybody just needs to quit pooping on moms. We're
Yeah.
all we're all doing the best we can. We all have the same feelings. If you're a stay-at-home mom, if you're a working mom, if you're a single mom, I don't care what kind of mom you are. We all have the same feelings. We all have the same frustrations. None of us are better than the other ones. We all need to be in this together. Like all this mom shaming crap and oh, I'm a better mom because I do this or it's better to be at home. No, it's better to be a working mom. What do you do all day? No, stop it. We need to be there for each other. We need to be the kind of women that we want our daughters to grow up to be. And we don't want our daughters to grow up to be mean girl, snipey people. Okay. Nobody wants that. Nobody needs that. The world's got enough of it. So here, we want to be supportive. We want to try to understand because we want our spouses to understand, but they're never going to truly understand because they don't live in our life. And it is very important for men to have male friends. It's very important for women to have female friends. And again, you want those friends that are supportive of your life, and that includes your marriage, not pooping all over your husband, pooping all over your marriage, or trying to judge it. But you need to do this or that. Nobody needs to do whatever. You need to do what works for you. The advice that I gave today, the advice that she gave today is our experience. That does not mean that's the way you have to go. You listen to it. If you can take something from it, great. If you can't, that's fine too. If you have advice for us, we'd like to hear that. You know, like I would love to hear from another mom who's like in the grandma stage dealing with all of this stuff and dealing with, the aging parents and all of that because this is new territory for me, and I don't, you know, we just all have to support each other, and then us older moms, we need to support these younger moms and just be here. And sometimes that's just, I mean, when Henry was first born, that was just me coming over and cleaning her house so she could
Yeah.
sit there and be tacked to the wall pumping all the time. I mean,
Right.
I literally would just come over here and clean the house. Clean the house, change the baby, put him down for a nap, do that kind of stuff. I mean, that was what she needed at the time. You know, just quit just quit pooping on people and quit asking stupid questions. You don't need to know what she does all day. It doesn't matter. It's not your
And
house.
from the younger mom perspective, don't be afraid to accept that help. Because I know the first time my mom was over here and she was doing my dishes, I got up and I was about to say, "Oh, mom, you don't have to do that," and I didn't. But I told her that that's like what I felt like telling her, and her response was, "You need me to do this right now." So like, don't be too proud to accept that help when it's offered too.
Right. And we like to feel needed. I am not gonna lie. Like when her husband told her to call me the day they brought Henry home, I was like, take it. Go in.
Yeah, because I was not going to call my mom mainly because I didn't want my husband to feel like I was saying, something he was doing wasn't enough. He was the one who said, "You know what? I think we need to call your mom. We need reinforcements. Your mom's the person."
Right. Like we
So,
like that. And then like my husband, he was just tickled when she asked him to watch Henry. Because he's like, I'm here. Why do they always have to call you? Because I'm like, oh my God, honey, like, I can't do all this all the time. Like the girls are constantly calling me. And he's like, well, I'm here. I don't know why they don't call me. He's like, I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, I mean, I can change a diaper. And yes, he can. And he does probably more often than I do. Because sometimes I look at the clock and I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. I changed the diapers. But no, I mean, us older people like to feel needed, so don't feel like you can't ask us. And for you older people, like help, but don't overstep. Don't wait till you're tagged in, and then just do the help, not the criticism.
well, and do the help that they want you to do. Especially, I know it happens a lot with newborns. Somebody will offer to come over and hold the baby while you clean the house. And I'm sorry, no. I mean, if that's what the mom wants you to do, like the mom of the newborn, she's saying, "Hey, I need a few minutes where I'm not attached to this little person." And maybe for her, she does want to go do the dishes. Fine. But don't be that person who's just coming over to see the baby and, mom's chopped liver.
Yeah, moms feel like that a lot. I mean, yeah,
Thankfully, I didn't feel like that because I have great people. But
yeah. I mean, I felt like that a little, and I think that's normal. Like, because when you're pregnant, it's all about you, kind of, the whole time, and then the baby's born, and everybody's like, "Oh, the pushy." You know what I mean? And you're just like, "Well, yeah, thanks. I'm here. I feel great. Thanks."
yeah, like it it's fine to want to hold the baby and play with them and everything, but don't forget about mom.
And so after a baby's born, I know like a lot of people buy something for the baby, but I am actually in the habit of buying something self care for mom. Even like when I drove a school bus, when I had moms that were pregnant on my route, after I knew that they had the baby, I'd put together like a little self care package, like whether that be like some face lotion and some body lotion and just some self care stuff because the baby doesn't really care. Like honest to God, like babies probably got enough stuff. You know what I mean? But just that little, oh look, this mom like thought about me and what I might need
Well,
is it's a pick me up.
yeah, and that is something that I have to say. Like I said, I never really felt like, I was just completely ignored after baby was born. But you guys, both you and grandma and grandpa, brought something to the hospital for me.
Mhm.
So you brought me a whole basket of snacks and stuff. That was awesome.
Mhm.
And then my grandparents bought me two really nice sets of nursing pajamas. So if you need some ideas for something to get for that new mom,
Maybe we should
snacks.
maybe we should put it like on the maybe we should put it like on the website or something because like I'm a really awesome gift giver.
Yeah, you know what? We will put something on the website after this episode goes out of like ideas of self-care stuff to get for the new
For the new mom or even just for your friend, like even if she's not a new mom, just a mom who like when you recognize that you have a friend or somebody in your life that's like little bit frazzled and feeling a little bit, underappreciated or overstressed or something like that. Sometimes just a little, um, something thoughtful. Like for me, I mean, I almost cried one year when this mom on my route got me like a year's supply of chapstick because my lips are always dry and I'm always putting chapstick on. And the fact that this little person on my bus told her mom, like, Miss Jen, because they would always get like coffee gift cards or like a thing that people give to every bus driver. And I don't really go to Starbucks and stuff like that. So that was cool. I gave them to my kids because they liked them. So they like that. But this little kid on my bus just noticed, like, Miss Jen really liked chapstick. She's always putting chapstick on. And I was always chewing gum. And that mom that year, like, got me, I'm not kidding you, a year's supply of chapstick and a whole bunch of gum. And it was just, and like, it wasn't expensive, but it was it was so thoughtful that I was like, oh my gosh, I appreciate it. So sometimes those little, like, personal things can really and you don't know, like, even if you don't know that a mom's stressed out or something, you just don't know, like, something like that can brighten your whole day and make you think your life is great, like, when you're feeling like life isn't great, because it probably is great, it's just you're not having a good day.
Yeah.
So things like that, they're important, and that's, as women, I think, what we need to do for each other, and stop pooping on each other. Like, I hate that. I just do. I just don't like it. We all do it because we're people. Sometimes everybody can be a jerk.
I mean, yeah.
But when you find yourself being a jerk, try to stop yourself.
Because I know I've had those thoughts about other moms. I won't say who, but I had the initial like gut reaction of like, why do you get to feel that way? You didn't have to deal with this, that, and the other thing. And then I had to reel it in and go, one, that's not nice. That's not helpful. It's not like it's doing anything to benefit me or the other mom. I'm just being spiteful. So,
Okay.
reel it in, check yourself before you say something publicly. Like it's one thing to have the thought, it's another thing to say it. Don't say it.
Oh, and on social media too, there are real people on the other end of that. So maybe don't be so nasty on there either.
Yeah.
Like, type it, but before you send it, read that. Would you like to hear that? If not,
Yeah.
not
sure.
helpful. Not helpful. It's not helpful. It's putting poop out in the universe. We gotta poop.
What was it that like little kids saying? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Is it necessary? If it doesn't check two boxes, don't say it.
Yeah,
So-
and I mean, I'm a pretty blunt person, but come on. Being mean for the sake of being mean, or does it really make yourself feel better? Because it probably doesn't. You probably feel bad about it later. So just don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't be a butthole, I think.
Don't be a butthole, and don't ask people what they did all day because they were doing stuff.
Don't be a butthole. Communicate with your spouse. Take some time for yourself.
Take some time for yourself. Communicate what you need.
Yep. I think that's it.
Okay, that's it.
Yay.
All right.
Finally.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Don't wait. Don't
Wait, what?
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Smash that subscribe button. So
Just hit the like and subscribe.
And you can send us an email through our website if you've got anything you want us to talk about.
This has been All Apple Pie and Stuff. Please visit www.allapplepieandstuff.com for exclusive content, to check out the platforms we're on, and to visit our merch store. Go to our Contact Us page to drop us an email. We'd love to hear your comments, questions, and suggestions. But just know, if you shame us on there, we'll shame you on air.